in a flawless manner. Now, you don't test, because test is an admission that you might have done something wrong, and after all, you are perfect, okay? You validate, and then you ship the product to the field. Now, that's an unachievable acme of performance. And the point isn't, why aren't you there? The point is, do you know how close you are? And the insight that everything in your processes that isn't what I just described is cost of poor quality. And the questions that you ask in this area are, do you know how much of your efforts are cost of poor quality? And do you have, by the way, do you know whether you're better than your competition at this? And do you have a strategy and a plan to reduce those meaningfully over time and take 15, 20% a year off of that? This definition, number one with your customers and having less cost of waste than your competitors, is the definition of quality we've chosen. And everything that you then do as a quality initiative will slot under those two. Let me make another comment. This is a valid definition from the overall enterprise, Motorola and all of its businesses, to the individual, because every individual has a customer for their services. Do they understand what their customers expect and how to be their best provider? And do they understand how much of their work is waste? So I think this is a very compelling definition that you can use to drive the organization's culture. Another point that I would make is the concept of quality as outside in. In technical environments, we tend to drive an inside-out view of quality, which says you're going to look at your activities, your processes, your methodologies. You're going to look at the internal workings of quality, and you're going to try to drive them to mostly for efficiency. The key to improved performance, in my mind, to the point of being number one with your customers is, can you describe what the customer wants in their words? The only value is defined by what the customer considers valuable. And if you can drive, and what I have here is an example of some customer scorecards, if you can drive a relationship with your key customers where they tell you and articulate to you their needs in terms of not just product quality, but delivery, service, marketing, all of the aspects of your relationship, and they can inform you maybe how you do with regard to your competitors, now you can align your inside-out perspectives to say what is important to them and what isn't. And I think that's a very, very critical view of the way quality is looked at today. We're now going to talk about some emerging quality issues as we see them, okay? And this is the dimensions of quality that Aren mentioned earlier. One of them that I think is very prevalent today is the effect of quality on your brand, on what your company means to the marketplace. And I think here you see a pretty clear correlation in the auto industry where a very, very straight line correlation between the number of defects per 100 cars relating to not just likelihood to repurchase, but also market share and market share growth. But to expand on this point, the value of the brand, and major brands require significant amounts of investment in terms of advertising, in terms of public relations, et cetera. If you now take a simple example of two companies which have a particular situation around them, Toyota enjoys a reputation for quality. As we have discussed with Toyota, how they, it's funny how you ask someone, how do you develop a quality culture? How do you get support from your major managers? And when you have it, they look at you like, what are you talking about? You mean you don't have it? They are so rich in this, they enjoy a brand adder based on quality that they need to spend no money on, okay, in terms of advertising. Conversely, if you have a quality defect like Firestone did a number of years ago, there is no amount of advertising that can erase that negative image. So the relevance of quality to the brand is significant. I think an example that we're seeing today, which is a segue into my next point, is the issues we're seeing with the Chinese toy industry and their safety considerations and the use of leaded paint, etc., has cast question on an entire nation's sub-industry. And this leads me to my next topic, which is an emerging quality issue in business today has to do with the responsibility of a company, number one, for the safety of its products, and that safety is becoming with portable energy, with the number of devices that are being put into the marketplace with portable energy sources, and the number of substances that are being developed and their environmental footprint. That responsibility is increasing in significance. And I believe that that is one of the real areas where standard, robust quality techniques and control techniques have a role to play in the success of future ventures. We place a lot of attention because fundamentally it is your brand, as I've mentioned before. And a product safety incident, an environmental incident, something like this is what will most quickly give you negative publicity in the marketplace. One of the next issues I'd like to talk about for a moment is quality by design. And we have a lot of discussion in this point where in the evolution of quality, we talked about going from an inspection mentality and an output monitoring mentality to one of quality by design and quality by intent. This is just a diagram of a gate process that happens to be ours in the development process. And the question is, what are you doing further and further up the process to be able to design quality in, to reduce the cost of internal defect within the company, and to drive the identification of waste and the identification of error further and further up in the process. And we've taken an approach where we have something called a quality review board, where you get subject matter experts in the key disciplines, whether they be electrical design, mechanical design, marketing, user interface, etc. And we place them far enough up in the process where the insights that they bring to the party can actually be implemented without affecting the outcome and the schedule. But I think the challenge here is the traditional quality gate is down here in the controlled introduction volume deployment, new product introduction phase. And the challenge that you have is to use techniques like Design for Six Sigma or Six Sigma for product development or many other of these advanced techniques to push that intervention further up in the process. And the challenge to quality professionals is how do you engage yourself in the organization at a time when you can have the formative influence further up in the process. Now, previous speaker mentioned quality of experience, and that's something that is extremely relevant to us. We traditionally can test with our analytical properties. We can test performance in electrical parameters, we can test performance in mechanical parameters, stress, drop, time to respond, we can test software execution. But the integration of those into a user experience is art as well as science. And you cannot extricate the artistic part from it. What I have articulated here is what we have done for product reliability, which is the top set of lines, we are now trying to do for our experience management.